Adversity has a way of creating like one or the other of an outcome in your life. Like adversity has the potential to either produce humility or timidity. It's up to you. Adversity can produce either humility or timidity. Let me make a distinction for the sake of this conversation. Humility, we talked about it earlier. Humility is a great thing. Humility is a wonderful character trait to have because it gives you good self-awareness. It gives you an appreciation for the people around you. It's attractive. I mean, man, when you're around somebody who's humble, like truly humble, that is an attractive quality. I think it's a great thing. So when you're going through adversity, your 7 years with the Midianites, instead of cursing the adversity, instead of being mad that you're in the situation to begin with, instead of getting mad at the Midianites and mad at the Israelites and mad at yourself and mad at God, look at the situation, the adversity, and go, I'm gonna wring every drop out of this adversity that I can. And maybe the greatest thing I come away with is the character quality of humility. But at its worst, what it can often do is create timidity. Timidity, I'll define that as timidity is the thing that causes you to shrink up. When I'm talking about timidity, I'm not talking about a personality trait of someone who's maybe quiet by nature or a little more reserved or a little shy. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about timidity like I've lost my self-esteem. I'm not gonna take another risk again. Hey, that last situation hurt so bad, I'm not gonna ante up again because if I do, it might hurt again. I'm talking about something that reduces you, sucks the faith out of you, sucks the courage out of you, and causes you to play it safe or to be defensive or to put up walls or to cocoon yourself and to live the rest of your life in fear. This is why the Apostle Paul says to his son in the faith, Timothy, in 2 Timothy 1:7, he says, the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline. Power, love, and a sound mind. So notice, courage and humility are not mutually exclusive. You can be a humble person and a courageous person. And so what was happening here to Gideon is because of the 7 years, and I'm not here to judge because I think 7 years at the hands of a barbaric Midianite regime would cause anyone to question themselves. It would create an insecurity. But what was happening is he was becoming timid. He was hiding out. And so the angel comes to him and says, mighty hero. He starts to hack away at his belief to say, you have to understand, like you are not meant to spend the rest of your life playing defense just because you had a loss. Just because something didn't work out doesn't mean you're supposed to be alone the rest of your life. Just because somebody wounded you and hurt you doesn't mean that all people are bad. And so I'm gonna keep everybody in arm's length. I'm never gonna let anybody in again. Just because the thing didn't work out in your career doesn't mean your career is doomed. Doesn't mean that there's no more room for you to take another risk or to step out boldly. It's not timidity, it's humility. Humility. It says in 2 Corinthians 4:8-9, it says, we're pressed on every side by troubles, but we're not crushed. I love that language. It's talking about adversity. Adversity, he's saying, hey, adversity can press you and not crush you. It's okay to be pressed. So some of us, oftentimes when we are in adversity, we get so hung up and fixated on the nature of the adversity and how uncomfortable it is that we miss the opportunity for it to produce something that it's meant to produce. He says, hey, it's okay to be pressed, but we're pressed, not crushed. We're perplexed, we don't have the answers, but we're not in despair. We're hunted down, but we're not abandoned by God. He said we get knocked down, but we're not destroyed. This is why the angel shows up with him and addresses him in a disorienting fashion. Mighty hero, mighty warrior, the Lord is with you. Now watch this back and forth between the Lord and Gideon. Says, sir, Gideon replied, if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us? Fair question. And where are all the miracles our ancestors told us about? Fair question. And didn't they say the Lord brought us up out of Egypt? Rhetorical question, but fair. Now the Lord has abandoned us and handed us over to the Midianites. Facts. Verse 14, the Lord turned to him and said, go with the strength you have. Sometimes you ask God questions, even good questions, he doesn't always answer them. And oftentimes people stay stuck in the wine press because I'm not leaving till I get my answers. I'm not doing anything till I get my answers. These are good questions. These are fair questions. But you can't wait. You can't wait on answers. Sometimes you got to go without answers. He asks questions, and notice the Lord doesn't go, hey, good questions. Here's the answer to 1 and 2 and 3. He just says, go with the strength you have. Sometimes you have to move in a direction before you have all your questions answered, your wounds healed, and your energy restored. That's a fact. Sometimes you have to move in a direction before you've had all your wounds healed and your questions answered and your energy restored. Notice what he says to him. He says, go with the strength that you have. That's our second action step, is go with the strength you have. Gideon is so focused on the strength he doesn't have that he's telling him, go with the strength that you do have. Now think about the fact that the angel of the Lord doesn't come and give him an energy pill. He didn't give him more energy. Friend, this is just a hard truth. I mean, I can preach Disney to you, or we can talk about real life. And real life is this. Sometimes you don't get to go with the strength you wish you had. You don't get to go with all the strength you want. Sometimes you just have to go with the strength you have. He says, take what you have. And this is getting your mind right. You're able to do more than you think you can. People say, I can't. Yeah, you can. You don't want to. You don't feel like it. Have you ever been exercising and your mind's not in it? Your mind ain't in it. You're like, I ain't feeling this today. That's about to be a bad workout. You're about to not get much out of it. You might as well just go home. But if you flip the switch, if you decide, I'm about to dig in on this. And by the way, that's just, I'm just talking about a superficial 30-minute, 1 hour workout. Let's flip and talk. I mean, people in their relationships, in their marriages, in their careers, and leading themselves, I don't have it in me anymore. Yeah, you can. Go with the strength you have. Sometimes you have to just go with the strength you have. You don't have what you want, but you have something. And what the angel of the Lord is essentially telling Gideon here is you have more than you think you have. Gideon thought he didn't have any strength. And that's how it feels 7 years at the hands of the Midianites. That's how it feels when you're that beat down. But what's he doing? He's getting his mind right. He's getting his mind right. You go with what you have. Go with the strength that you have.